welcome to a new video. This is Mason here, the content creator with REISift. Rather impromptu video today with our dear friend Kasim. Kasim, how you doing, man? Everything going good with you?
Doing well. I'm blessed. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year's, man. You training?
Always. Got my butt kicked very nicely last night, so certainly feeling it today, this morning, and gonna be right back at it tonight.
Oh, man, cool. Kasim
Yeah.
grinds all around. So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about how Kasim stands out from the crowd by utilizing his family members. So with REISift, Kasim started with us, I think, a couple of years ago, right? 2 years?
Yeah, I think it's going on this May or this February. I think it'll be 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. And right away, he immediately got in contact with the support team, the success team, was figuring out how he could utilize us to improve his business. He got on the Real Estate Dojo podcast with us. We set up his processes for him. And I'm speaking for you, but I think by now you got a pretty kick-ass first to market process. If you want to talk about that a little bit, just briefly, I'd love to hear about it.
For sure. I like to think so, and obviously it's always evolving and changing. But yeah, as you mentioned, first to market strategy, primarily right now around foreclosures or pre-foreclosures, excuse me, and starting to throw in some code violations, code enforcement as well there. But really, that's been the difference maker, I can certainly say. Since especially utilizing REISift to its fullest capacity, and just implementing that into the business, having way more success doing that than going in onto, and no shade to them, but going on to like PropStream or Batch or any of those list creators, and just pulling like a foreclosure list. Like you can certainly get deals that way. But I've just found that being first to market, you can definitely stay on top of those deals a lot better. Get in front of homeowners, maybe even sometimes before the judgment is actually sent over to them, to their primary residence or wherever they're staying at right now. And it's paying off, and definitely seeing a good return, and just committing to that strategy on a weekly basis.
You doing Fridays? Is it? You're going on Fridays? Was it?
Yeah, so every Friday. So I market in 2 counties right now, or technically 4, but Delaware is so small, so I just look at it as like one whole county. But I go get my Delaware data directly at the courthouse, and then for Delaware County, Pennsylvania, I can do all of that, right from my computer online. But yeah, every Friday, that's list creation day.
Cool. So list creation day happens, and now on Instagram, I'm seeing you, I think 2 sisters you have, 3 sisters. You have your sisters, your family, you're getting them involved with this consistent behavior. And it looks to me like you're teaching them the ins and outs. I'd love to hear about that. Just kind of just spill the beans on that, man, because we value family here at REISift, and we think you exemplify that pretty good. So we'd love to hear about that.
Thank you. Yeah. So, like you said, family is the main reason why I'm even doing this business. At the end of the day, I don't have children yet, or anything, but my family ultimately is, who I'm doing this for. Excuse me. Whether it be to directly impact my family that's here now, future generations down the line. It's like they literally just like always starts with family. So when I first got started, just like everybody else, you kind of tell the family, but you kind of want them to be able to see something in order for it to be real, and it's not just like an idea, right? So in May of 2020, this is where the idea kind of first started for me, was how to get the family involved. So I got my first rental in May of 2020, and I was like, you know what? After it was all cleaned out, had tenants that were getting ready to move in the day before, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my family there just so they can see, right? Just so that when I'm, kind of going dark on people or whatever, they're not hearing from me for a while, they know it's for a reason. So, brought my whole entire family, over to the property. My moms, they brought, some champagne to celebrate, taking pictures out front, all that good stuff. So that's really kind of where the idea, just kind of came about, right? And my mentors in this business, they're very tight knit with their families as well. And one of my closest mentors Jordan Morgan, who actually introduced me to REISift, he's got his family very heavily involved in their company as well. And I certainly look up to that. It's pretty cool to see that, especially because I know there's, some age gaps between all of the siblings and stuff. And I was like, kind of looks just like my family, right?
Yeah.
Um, so he really, I would say, is like the pioneered the idea for me. I kind of just did it for like the showboating stuff to my family. And then, since all of my siblings are younger, I do have a younger brother as well, who works. So I haven't really found ways for him to get too involved yet. But and again, I'm just sharing my journey here a little bit of how this all came about. So I think it was towards the end of August, end of summer of August. One of my in my hometown, one of the ladies that runs the hometown magazine reached out and said like, "Hey, I'm friends with you on Facebook. I see your journey, right? And would love to do an interview with you to just kind of like showcase what you're doing. I know you're from the area, play football." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So in the article, shared the same thing, doing it for the family. And it kind of became the running joke between me and my siblings, like, everyone's going to get a house as a result of, the work that I'm doing. Right. So my sisters, they're the ones that really hold me to it when it comes to getting them a house. Right. So I said, you know what? If you guys want to get the house, you got to learn how I get the house. Right. So it was just a random Friday. I picked them up early in the afternoon. We had plans to go into Philly, get dinner, play ping pong at this one place that they have in the city. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna stop at the courthouse, and I'm gonna do my usual Friday stuff, but you guys are gonna come with me. So they came with me. We went to the courthouse. Got all of the data that we could for the day. Just showed them like, hey, this is I get X, Y, and Z. And then I had my laptop in the car, and I was like, you know what? My one sister, you're going to put the entire list from the notebook onto the Excel file. And then my other sister, you're going to do all the skip tracing and everything and load that into REISift. So that's how I started to get, everyone involved with it.
Thanks. Okay, you started out small. You got them going to the courthouse, just listening. And that day, they were uploading lists, and they're kind of messing around with that. So
Yeah.
has it developed since then? Have they been like, "Hey, can I learn this or that?" Is it gone anywhere else? What do you think?
Yeah, so since they're younger, just keeping it very basic. I mean, like I think kids at that group in that age group, they're learning how to use Excel and computer classes and all that stuff. So just showing them, the nitty gritty, but we'll certainly love for them to learn how to do maybe maybe some deep prospecting stuff, or just let them click buttons, send out the
Yeah.
mailers like, hey, you got to do this, marketing campaign that went out. But it's really just like, always highlighting, what's going on and sharing, and just like, I really do explain all the details with all the deals that I get, like how, it started, what transpired, what the situation was that was going on. Because even though, for example, if it's just like, foreclosure, unfortunately, for example, right, there's usually a lot more going on than just the foreclosure. So really just explaining to them, how we help people out in all these different situations. And then explaining as well how sometimes it can turn into a deal where it's, a house that where we're keeping in the family in some regard.
Yeah. So, I mean, there has to be some me, I have a younger sister too.
Mhm.
So anytime I can pass on something that maybe I learned, it's a good feeling. So I can imagine that feels really good to have your sisters doing something. I don't want to say it's more meaningful than other things, but something like this. How old are they?
The my one sister, she is 16, and the other is 14.
Yeah. So my sister is just a little bit older than that. So getting them involved in that, I can see how that would be really rewarding. Um, did they have any moments where they were wanting to ask you any questions, where you were like, "Oh, I might have got the bug in them a little bit," or what did you kind of see when you were doing that? Were they a little nervous? Were they just mostly excited or curious? How was that going?
Yeah, so they're pretty, chilled and laid back like I am. And so I don't think they've gotten the itch or anything to possibly be doing real estate, but I know that they're at that age where, my one sister, she's getting older, in high school, the other one's getting ready to go into high school. I think it's just obviously as time goes on, right, and the educate, let's just call it the education space, and everyone's got their opinions on whether you know college is the right avenue or not, right? But just at least exposing them to something that it's like, hey, even if I do go to college, this is something that I could be doing. If they elect not to go to school, by their choice, this is something they could, potentially be doing. And then for me, I just look at it as like, listen, I just keep the business going. That maybe even if whatever route they decide to go, it's like, hey, hop into this, because they're both very, very intelligent. So it'd be cool, just like I said, the way I see, Jordan and his family do it. I'm like, I would love to have, all four of the siblings, running in this business, together at some point in the future.
Yeah. Shouts out to Jordan.
Yeah, big shouts to Jordan. Always, always.
Yeah. There was a few months back where Tyler and I were talking about just how people are getting the family involved and stuff like that. And I mean, with a process like what we teach and what we do here, like especially like the first to market and Sensei flow stuff, it's step by step, A through Z. Like there's a real thing that you can teach your family. And what would you recommend to people out there who are like, how the heck do I even plant a seed that I want my family to be involved? Like, how would you recommend going about that?
Yeah, I think it's just you know, just like anything in life, don't really force it or
Mm.
push it, right? Like, I think my siblings can see we're all very close. All four of us are very, very close. And so even though we have the age gaps and stuff like that, I think just naturally when they can see, this is something that I take, a lot of pride in as far as the business. They've seen the opportunities that it's, put me in front of, from the investments to my personal residence and all that good stuff, and really just do it, since we're so close. It's like they see that this is a product of my efforts. And like I said, for them, if they ever think like, hey, this is something that I could see myself doing. So the first recommendation was like, just let them see like the entire business, right? Like don't like try to, I guess, put it in a box like, okay, I'm only going to show you this. Like let them see everything, right? Um, and then just going about it that way, because obviously everyone has their own interests. Like my brother, he's reached out to me because he was interested in possibly doing some cold calling for us. And so we were having that discussion because that's what his full-time job has him doing right now. So like, okay, like cool, like you're getting some exposure to that, in a different field, obviously, but you're getting the experience with cold calling. If I ever go and visit him, he's like, damn, no one's picking up the phone, this, that. I'm like, okay. So you're really getting the experience of what it's like, that if I ever did want to bring, or if you ever did want to, hop on and start doing outbound cold calling with us, you get a sense, right? Um, my sisters, for them, it's just like, whatever they want to learn, right? It's like, I'm just here just to show you whatever it is that you want at the end of the day.
Yeah. Really, it's just about being a good steward. I mean, it it goes even farther than just like the family stuff, you know. I'm sure you get asked all the time, how are you doing what you're doing? Especially someone like you who's like training full time, I'm pretty sure you still have a W-2 on top of this, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
you're doing this essentially full time. I mean, I would call it full time.
Yeah.
Um, you're just a good example, and I appreciate you coming on.
Sure. Thank you.
Um, it's important to teach people. If you see someone has a little bit of interest, I think it's cool that someone is willing to show someone a possibility at how they could improve their life, and that's just cool, man. We appreciate that here. So
Yeah.
thanks for hopping on, man. I know it was a
Thank
little back and forth trying to get you on, but we made it happen.
that time of the
Took
year.
action. Cool, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.